All right, so first part of the topic is really just getting yourselves oriented to think more bottom line thinking. One of the things I find very common, especially for people who are a little bit newer, getting into affiliate marketing or performance marketing or really online in general, they tend to think a lot of the time on the top line. They just think about revenue and how they can generate a lot more revenue. And you talk to an experienced affiliate marketer, and they are always factoring in the cost of the sale and how much money that they're spending in order to get that new customer. So one thing, our first piece of advice is really start orienting your thinking, not just in terms of that top line piece, but really a bottom line thinking. What's your profit going to be? If you're going to spend as much money, obviously, to bring in that sale or customer as you're making on it, or even spending more, which is very common in a startup situation when you're first getting going, you're not actually making any money. You're not going to be in business very long. But you need to think about that in your decision-making process every step of the way, all the way through. So hopefully you guys will have some questions or frustrations that you're running into, and when we give you advice later on, when we get into the more of the Q&A, one of the things we're going to be looking for is to start thinking about, are you in your forecasting and in your systems and your design, are you thinking ahead about how much is this actually going to cost me to incorporate in? So you have a lot of brilliant ideas, but if they're not profitable, they're not worth incorporating. Okay, and then the other thing I really want to touch on, and Durk, maybe you can also pipe in about this. Up on the chart, you see an entrepreneur's org chart. And one of the most common things, and it actually goes on and on, it's not just during the startup phase, is that you're in every box. Maybe you have a partner. And you go through the whole process of, okay, I know I really need to hire someone. Maybe you're not good at hiring. You've never really done it. You've never gotten a lot of advice about what to do when you're hiring somebody. And you have a bad hire. So that just reinforces your idea that I can do this better. I need to be the one that does this. I'm the only person who can get this done. And you end up being extremely inefficient. You cannot scale your business. So one of the biggest pieces of advice that I want to impress upon all of you is that you cannot do it all, even though you might think that you can. And so what you should be doing all the time is talking to people who are having success and finding out, what did they do? How did they scale their business? How did they find a good partner that worked for them? What are the right questions to ask in an interview? And don't be shy about it, but just work on the process of, how do I get my business to scale? When some of you know me from a while back, I was with Commission Junction in the early years. And when we started, there was 4 of us and myself that were responsible for developing out all of the clients and the performance and growing that business. And we went from 4 to, I think at its peak, it was 5 divisions with 120 people across 3 different locations. And going through that experience of growth, way you operate your business very different when you have just a few people versus this really big size. And going through all those steps and processes and making the mistakes. So find someone like myself who has gone through that process. I don't know, Durk, can you maybe add a little bit about the concept of trying to do it all yourself and going through rapid growth and scale?
I don't know why you picked me for
that.
I
don't know.
Yeah, we've grown. In 2007, we had, at the end of 2007, we ended up with 14 merchants. And I primarily manage merchants at Commission Junction, Google, ShareASale, AvantLink, that kind of traditional affiliate network. And end of 2007, we had 14 clients. The end of 2008, we had 50. And the end of 2000, so far this year, we're at 65. And that kind of growth, and I did everything all the time anyway, so why not? I understand completely. And I think a lot of it has to do with planning. I understood the potential in the marketplace as you all understand your potential. And so I really started looking at, first of all, tools to make us more efficient. So we've been developing tools and processes and methodologies to basically do more with less, because frankly, staffing's expensive. The second thing I really did was look for partners, not employees. Really kind of a different way of looking at things. I brought people in. They were always I was testing people as they were seeing if they fit, and really brought them in, looking at them that if they didn't have a potential to be a partner in my business, I really wasn't that interested in working with them a long time. And those kind of people who didn't have an entrepreneurial bent like I did worked their way out of the deal, and it was had low impact on my business. So I was testing people along with processes. And then everything I've done has been long term. I don't take as much money out of the business as I probably could, because we have to grow to go where we want to go, both in the technology we're going to use and the people we're going to have. Means that I'm sacrificing short-term goals to grow a long-term business. So I think you can do it. And I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I mean, essentially I was in the commercial real estate business, and that's about the most entrepreneurial, stand out on the corner deal you can get into. And same thing when I got in the internet business 17 years ago, nobody knew what it was, and so I had to explain my way through everything. So I've been kind of out there all by myself. So over time, you've got to figure if you're going to grow a company or just be your sole person doing what you can. But if you're going to grow your business, you need to figure out a way to either use technology or use people wisely to grow.
Yep. Another great piece of advice that was given to me was your not to-do list is as important as your to-do list.
Yeah.
And that's huge, because you got to figure out, and we can talk in a second about prioritization, but that idea of, you talked about planning, but it's what am I not going to invest my time and my resources into, and learning how to make those choices and those decisions. One other thing I heard Richard Branson from Virgin, he was saying that you should spend at least, if not less, than half of the time you spend developing new business fighting fires. And just for any of you who have heard me present, that was my incorporation of fire and fire departments and firemen into my presentation. There's only a couple of you left in the room that actually will appreciate that, but I know Paul is laughing back there, yes. So you want to, I think that's also great advice, and actually taking a look at how are you spending your time. And if you're finding yourself constantly putting out fires and dealing with this, the things that are flaring up, take that step back, really figure out from a time management perspective, how can I make this go away? And a lot of times it's to outsource, it's using technology, systematizing processes, what have you, get advice. Okay, so the next thing, and I want to talk about in terms of prioritization, is looking at growth opportunities. So if you go up and down the center axis, you have potential. And I use this for clients. On the horizontal axis, you have performance. So you can do this with clients. You can do this with new sales, business opportunities. But basically the idea is that chart out or plot out where do your clients fall in terms of how are they actually performing versus how much opportunity for potential and growth do they have. And you'll see that, so someone who has a business or a client who has high growth opportunity but isn't currently performing that well, so way under their potential, they're going to go over here in that upper left-hand corner. In the upper right-hand corner is a company that continues to have a lot of potential for growth, and is also performing well for you. Down in the lower bottom is you don't know how much potential they have, and they're not performing for you very well. And then you've got, and this is probably the big trap that people fall into, is you have someone who is performing really well for you, is a good customer, very profitable, but they don't have that much more room for growth. They've kind of tapped it out. And what people typically spend most of their time and prioritize is in that lower right-hand corner. And in fact, your first priority should be in the upper left-hand corner. The people who still are not yet performing and have a lot of room for growth, because that's what's going to create the growth for you. That's where you want to spend the most of your time. Then second priority is the ones that are also performing well and continue to still have more room for growth. Your cash cows, so to speak, the people that are doing well, I'm not saying don't service them, or I'm not saying don't pay attention to them, because they're important to your business, and you want to remember that they were at some point probably in that upper left corner. But they're not your first priority when it comes to where am I going to put my attention and focus my resources. This is your room for growth. So that's a tip that I have helped a lot of people with, and they've actually done this where they've spent the time to map out. What they find almost always is that the people in that lower corner is who they're spending their time with, they're calling on a regular basis, talking to frequently, and the ones they're ignoring or not spending very much time is up in that upper left-hand corner. So that's a little technique that I've learned over the years and I've shared with people. I think there's a lot of other opportunities in terms of like how you prioritize your time, and we can definitely come back to that if you guys have some more questions on it. I'm going to actually skip this and then come back to it because we changed a few things up in the situation. So I'm going to hand over to Chuck right now, and Chuck's going to talk about two topics. One is partnerships, what makes a successful partnership, and then negotiating. And then we're going to go to Jason, and then we'll come back on the points of sale. Do you want to stand or sit?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I guess I could split a partnership between partnerships with a merchant that you're running a program for and partnerships with affiliates. First, on the merchant side, we have a joke at Affiliate Crew that we have a list of 10 things that we recommend you do when you launch a program. And it's very common for the merchant to restrict us to only one or two. And then they come back in 6 months and they say, hey, what are we not doing, what we can do to expand this? So every 6 months we roll out this list and we may pick off another one. So in other words, it's going to take about 5 years to really fully optimize that opportunity. So the more open you can be with your affiliate manager, if it's a staff position or an outsourced program manager like myself and Durk, is to be open-minded to opportunities. If you're sensitive to brand, don't push back on pay-per-click. It's probably one of the strongest channels for affiliates, and if you develop partnerships with a handful of people that you know well, and in this case, partnership is to be open with them on ideas and to be as transparent as possible, it's a tremendous channel. If you're running a retail-based program, be open-minded to discounts, coupons, especially with this recession. They're our best performing vertical now. Also, to build into the gross profit and the net profit of your sales, the ability to have a VIP tier. Actually, Durk has taught me a lot about this because the super affiliates are going to ask for it. So if you're starting with a 10% commission, expect that they're going to ask for 12 and be ready for that. Build in some bonuses and sales contests and other opportunities as well. So be as open-minded as possible. Also, one thing that bootstraps me is where I'm running a program and the design is coming from the merchant, waiting literally for months to get banners produced, or when you have an opportunity, taking 2 weeks to produce a banner that'll take a designer about 15 minutes is just ridiculous. So don't bootstrap your affiliate managers. Work with them and realize that this is a incremental channel, and also understand that affiliate marketing is not a brand maker. You need to have a converting program. First question I ask is, what kind of conversion do you get site-wise? Are you running pay-per-click? If it's a new program and you feel it's going to hit the market running, let's do a pay-per-click test before we put an affiliate program in. There's nothing worse than burning that relationship and that partnership with your high-value affiliates that you bring over from other programs, because if they run it and it doesn't convert, they're not going to talk to you again. So there is a partnership both ways. On the affiliate side, it's working with them, understanding them, kind of learning a little bit about their personality and how they work. Most of the successful affiliates are small corporations. The search affiliates, a lot of them have multiple staff. The coupons, the loyalty sites in particular, are some pretty substantial corporations. So realize this is not some guy sitting in his underwear, working odd hours and such. They're professional people. I know one particular affiliate that was getting his MBA out of London while he ran his corporation out of New York. And very, very sharp people, very savvy. So it's all about relationship, it's all about opportunity, and it's all about opening it up as much as possible. So I'm more for, let's try a lot of things, see what works, and continually optimize that and improve it. Those are the opportunities that tend to grow. And programs just don't take off. Generally you're looking at a 6 to 12 month curve. So if you're expecting a 90-day ROI, you're probably going to be disappointed. So keep an open mind.
Okay. And did you cover negotiation too?
Oh, negotiations? Everything's negotiable. With the bigger networks, I run a mixture, probably about 70% network-based programs and the rest in-house. retail and lead gen, some B2B. Everything's negotiable, so if you feel that the opportunity, the first thing I do when I evaluate a program is I call it a competitive analysis. I have affiliate programs. I can go and see what other competitors are offering. I look at the top 3 to 4 networks. I see how things are positioned for payouts to the affiliates, commissions, cookie durations, if you can get conversion data, what kind of creative they have, how are they punching up their language to the affiliate, and then evaluate that to set the program. But with the networks, unless you're asking for everything, generally on the low end, when you create a program, it'll be a boilerplate agreement. They're not going to be very open. I've seen a number of merchants drag things out for 3 to 6 months because they want everything on their terms. Well, you're not putting enough down for the network to do that, and they're basically going to push back on it. It's not going to go through a big legal phase. If you are coming in a high end where you're paying some pretty healthy monthly fees, they'll move things around for you. They'll work with you. And it doesn't hurt. We tell affiliates, super affiliates, preach it all the time, always ask for a higher commission. You have a 50-50 chance they're going to say yes. So with the networks, I'm not saying bargain shop, but talk to them and develop, it's a business relationship. So maybe you can get a little more promotion up front at the same cost. And some of the networks are hungry. It depends on your opportunity, it depends on the fit. And at these trade shows in particular, you can develop some excellent relationships with the networks. I work with all top 4, I've been on panels with several of them, and pick up the phone and they're willing to discuss. So as an affiliate, sometimes you can negotiate other things as well. Performance bonuses, higher commissions based on performance. But if you ask me as an affiliate, hey, can I go from a 10% commission to a 15% commission on an average order of $300 or $400, I'll say, what are you going to do for me? Because I have to go back to management or account manager to talk to the merchant to see if they give up more margin. So it's a give and take, and don't expect that we're just going to give it away. And I've wasted a lot of time giving premium commissions to somebody who didn't produce, and we made additional creative and such, wasted the opportunity. So generally, I'm going to pick your brain and find out what you're going to do for the extra value.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason?
Just to add to that, I think there's a lot of small businesses out there probably, and I think a lot of people make the mistake of getting into a contract or getting into a relationship before they've fully looked at the competitive landscape. And I think in negotiations, the things that I look at is one, always be negotiating with 2 or more partners. Usually I'd like to make sure I'm talking to at least 3 potential partners, and make sure that they know that that's what you're doing, So that immediately will create a sense of urgency and competition. And instead of doing rounds and rounds of pricing negotiation, you can get through it pretty quickly. 2, be data-driven. Really make sure that you understand what you're negotiating and what's a good price and what you're really getting out of it, and use data to your advantage. And also make sure that you've got a mutually beneficial deal. A great deal for you may be a deal that doesn't ever run or get any, there's no benefit. I would rather have a little bit of a lot than a lot of nothing. And so I think a lot of times when you find people that are, just really negotiating a deal that's too sweet for them, they've just wasted, weeks, months negotiating something that's not going to have any benefit at all. So make sure that there's benefits on both sides, because it is a partnership.
Yeah, and I think understand what the other person's driving at, what their needs are. I think, for example, if you're an affiliate and you're asking for more money, a really important question in that process is okay, well, what exactly are you held accountable for when you're talking to the merchant? Is it the average order amount, or is it actual item, product being pushed through, the number of, SKUs? I mean, there's a lot of different things. What's your most profitable item? It may not be the thing that is ever, causing the highest conversion rate per se, but maybe it's something else, and maybe you can figure out a way that you can negotiate together and be willing to set some, I think, benchmarks about, okay, if I can hit this volume, then can I earn this amount of money? Those types of negotiations. And a lot of times it's not about the money, it's about what are the resources that you need in order for you to be more successful. Can you give me some more information about, keywords that, you guys are not bidding on in-house because it isn't profitable enough for you, but maybe I can put together a better, some more content on my page and bring that audience over and really hit and target that set of keywords. So it's not competitive with what something you're doing. So I mean, there's a whole lot.
And find somebody, like if you don't know someone, find someone that's willing to vouch for that partner. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about hosting, if you're talking about super affiliates, whatever it is in your business, because we're talking about driving operational efficiency, we're talking about media, we're talking about all sorts of things. Whatever it is, you know, network. Find someone who's going to vouch for that partner, ask for referrals. Talk to somebody who's doing a lot of really good business for a long time with that partner.
Yeah.
And if they can't produce good, you know, referrals with someone who's respected, don't work with them. Find somebody else.
Yep. Move on. Durk, do you have anything else you want to add on that topic? Negotiating?
Well, you know, I was just writing notes, and the thing is that I see that fails most affiliate and merchant relationships is transparency and availability. We're seeing more and more transparency from our best affiliates, and they say to us they like us because we're very available when they need something. And we find that most programs, we see programs fail over and over because they haven't had a communication with an affiliate in years and vice versa. So if you're looking to be successful in negotiation, you better be transparent and available to the merchant and vice versa. The merchants need to be available, readily available. So it's one of those things that, and this event is a perfect example of being able to be more transparent, to be more easily seen and recognized as a leader in your field. So come to these events, send Sean a deal to speak. Those are the kind of things that if you're looking for to get a better reputation, to be more available, and because you want a higher payout and you can justify it because they're going to know you, and you're going to have a better working relationship. So I think that lends itself to negotiation as well.
Is there anybody in the room that would make the case for it's better to operate in that black box and not be transparent? Is there anybody that would you make that case? Well, tell me why. Or tell us why. But
I'm Robin. I'm from Europe. I do media buy from Facebook and other channels, and I had 7-digit profits the last 8 months, being the only one doing it.
okay.
In these markets. And of course, I work with affiliate networks, but you know, it was great to get over here and talk to people from none of my competitors. But in small markets, you don't want to talk too much about what your profits are, what offers you are running, and so on. And I also run email lists. I have to redirect all my traffic so the affiliate networks were not finding out how I was doing this, because they would take over the business also.
Right, so it's the secret sauce per se, and you're not going to give them the details. But if somebody wants to partner with you and you want to negotiate a higher rate, being able to describe in general what you do, is that a disadvantage to you?
No, but they're going to ask where the traffic is from.
Right, and they're going to want to know more. And I think it's perfectly okay. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's perfectly okay to say, I'm not going to reveal all of the details of my sources, but this is essentially what I am doing, and I can share with you, and this is how we can work together if there's a problem. But giving a little bit more information up front, it puts you in a more powerful position when you're asking for something else, is kind of my point.
I have a great example, something that happened to us. We had an affiliate who was converting at an exceptionally high rate. We have a client that's very prickly about coupons and trade name bidding. And so he looks at every number, and he was converting at 18%. And so we're going, well, you know, we haven't caught him in trade name bidding. We know he doesn't do coupons, but we didn't know him. He's relatively new to the network. So we reached out to the guy. And so the guy came back with a very detailed email on what he did, no specifics, but generally how he did it. We checked with the network. They had not a single other complaint about this guy. So communication ended up, we had actually my client made us void his commissions. We reinstated all of his commissions, kept him going, and he was once we told us what the issue was, he came back immediately with a very detailed statement of what he did and how he did it, We gave that to the client with further corroboration from the network, and it worked great. So those are the things I'm saying about now. When you're new and you don't have a track record, you're going to get pulled off to the side of the road a lot of times. But this was a perfect example. The communication worked perfectly. Everybody's happy now, and we kept a great affiliate, and the client's happy about it as well.
John?
Joe, that's a great comment. Just one thing to pick up on what he said. I think that there's a perception from certain affiliates, specifically really high value, call it grey practice affiliates, not illegal, just very secret source practice, that affiliate managers are out to take their cake. And that a lot of the networks, and that sadly is true, that some networks will actually look what they do and then try and duplicate it. I think the important thing is to build the relationship with the affiliate, because then they know that they can trust you.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly that's the biggest issue really for these affiliates.
On both sides, absolutely. I mean, the merchants, they get, but the affiliates, you know, we don't live in a forest. We all live out in the open, and if the affiliate managers get caught doing that stuff, or, you know, the affiliate finds someplace else he can go do what you do. And again, you know, I think that's a great job, I think what you said.
Transparency works that way too. If you have people that are ripping you off, just tell everybody.
That's what
Absolutely.
I do.
Points is,
So.
one, you know, it is a lot easier to get that information out and to reveal that. And I think the other thing too is do your research in who you're partnering with. So as an example, find out, what does that network do? I mean, is the network sitting there offering exactly the same services in addition to the technology, in addition to some you know, additional value-added services that are competitive with what you do? Because you have to question then, okay, if they're doing that and they're looking at the data, which is gold, you know, is that something that is a risk to your business? So I think both of those things. And then if you come across, I mean, it makes sense to share that information and say, hey, this person burned me, or this company burned me, and I'm not doing business with them, and I would challenge you of why are you? So. All right, so we're going to move on to some more information. We're going to get a little bit more detail about email marketing, and we've got some topic about metrics and pricing. And so Jason's going to take on from here.
So just, you know, how many people here are actually doing email acquisition? So using the email channel to acquire new customers?
Not enough.
Yeah,
Not enough.
And also, how many are actually using email as a retention vehicle to either sell your product or upsell and cross-sell other products? That's better. That's good. And monetization. So once you actually build a customer file, how many of you are doing list management, either by yourself, going out and finding third-party offers to send your data, or giving it to a list management company? Not that many. Wow. So that's actually then the monetization part. If you're not making money on that list and that customer file, and you've got only one product that you're selling to someone, if you want to drastically change profitability of your business, that is one of the things that you should take a quick look at. There's only, I think, like 10% of the people that said that they were doing retention or doing list management, which means you've got a database and you're not monetizing it. It is one of the single fastest things you can do to increase profitability, and you can do it within a week. This slide, I'm not going to go through everything, but I want to make sure I talk about some of the things that are changed or have grown within email, and some of the most important things. On the acquisition front, what I'm talking about here is email advertising. So, you know, growing your customer base, or lead base using email marketing. We have definitely hit a tipping point in the last 12 months. The reach is there, the compliant reach is there. You can absolutely, you know, generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in the email channel. We're doing this with a lot of Fortune 1000 companies now, every single month. It's sustainable and it's compliant, which means we've really gotten publishers trained on how to run the business very efficiently without cutting corners that could put big brands at risk. And I would say, you know, now we're actually seeing a lot of Fortune 1000s come on. We've never onboarded this many Fortune 1000 companies on a monthly basis. I would say our first, you know, it took us 2 years to get our first one, and now we're doing it every month. So That is definitely we hit a tipping point in the last 12 months. I think that what a lot of people are doing now is using feedback loops. I'm going to talk a lot about transparency and feedback loops. Feedback loops coming from the publishers, feedback loops going out from the network to both publishers and advertisers, and feedback loops coming from the advertisers to both the network and the publishers. You really have to open up a dialogue and use data every single week, and use that data to figure out your pricing, to figure out better ways of optimizing your campaigns, everything from the ad all the way through your retention and monetization efforts. And then the quantum leaps in acquisition, I think, are also really important. I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper later on, but the things that I think brands were concerned about 3 years ago are no longer concerns. I think that's one of the main things that are feeding the growth in email right now. On the retention side, I'm not going to go too far into that. I'd just say the one thing about retention is some companies are now doing retention. The ESPs, the email service providers, are providing retention and win-back campaigns on a performance basis. So if you're paying an ESP on a CPM basis, that kind of pricing will force them to actually send to people that don't respond, because they make more money by sending more mail. If you can find a company that can do it on a performance basis, they're going to weed out the non-responders. They're going to send to the people that actually do respond. You're going to make more money. Your complaint rates are going to go down. You're going to get better deliverability, and you're going to run a more efficient business. And let's move on.
Okay.
Do you have an example of a company, email marketing company that does that, the ESP?
Stormpost is a performance-based pricing company, and I know that they can also, it is a Datran. Datran Media is our parent company. Stormpost is the ESP, and then what they will also do is bring in list management, those third-party offers. So a lot of times what you're doing is actually the checks go the other direction. You're paying on a performance basis, but they're going to use third-party marketing to pay for all your costs. And this one really quick is just about make sure that you're using the talent within your organization and your partners in a way where you really are synchronizing acquisition, retention, and monetization. If you have email experts, make sure that they're applying their knowledge across all three of these channels. It's really strange to me that you'll find merchants or companies where they have separate groups, and these groups, for some reason, a lot of times don't get along. They're fighting, fighting each other. What you really need to do is you need to force that collaboration. And if people aren't willing to play nicely, replace them. You got to find, because otherwise, that's the only way you're going to drive operational efficiency, is making sure you're using, people in the smartest way possible. We'll go ahead. I talk a lot about balanced scorecards. Just because, at Datran, we've I think one of the biggest improvements that we've made is actually take a balanced scorecard approach to running the business in every facet of the business. And so I started really applying that to pricing and optimization. So, the old school way of affiliate marketing and lead gen, whether it's merchants or not, you put a price out there, and then a lot of times pricing was based on, well, this affiliate will run a little bit more if we give them 50%, 50 cents more. And they go to another network and they're like, well, they're going to give me 25 cents. So 25, I got 50, got 50. It's a really retarded way of actually doing pricing. What happens is you squeeze the margins on the merchant. You squeeze the margins on the network. And then, you're giving out payouts just based on this pressure, upward pressure on pricing, right? So we don't do pricing like that. I base pricing based on the back end, which forces me and our clients to actually provide a lot of transparency. So I take a balanced scorecard approach to it. What that means is that I'm not looking at a metric. I'm not looking at cost per sale. I'm usually looking at 4 to 5 metrics. I'm looking at my conversion rate. I'm looking at cost per sale. I'm looking at chargeback rates. I'm looking at upsells and lifetime value. And I'm looking at how the list is monetizing. What offers and upsells can I use from third-party marketers to monetize that list? If you look at all of those things, then you're going to make some smart decisions. And you have to look at all those things at every source level. And you need to take that information, push it out to your publishers, make sure they know why they're getting the pricing that they're getting. I'll go into more examples, around that. Does this make sense to everyone? Okay.
Wait, I have a quick question. How many of you actually, when you're doing, for example, your negotiations or you're trying to figure out if something works, do you actually go and look at all those metrics? How many of you guys actually do that on a regular basis? Okay. I think you're being honest because very few people do it. And one of the most important things you have to do internally in your organization is get those metrics, because you cannot get into a conversation with Jason or anybody else if you don't have that information. So if you're going to fight for something in your organization internally, especially if you're not the person who can kind of throw the person out the door that is not working nice and not in the playground, you don't have the VP title or whatever, go in and say, this is what I need for my business to be successful. Because it's how you're going to improve, you're going to decrease the problems, but also how you're going to really leverage something that's starting to take off. So if there's one thing you do when you go back, it's really take a look at your access to information and data and work from there. Go and get that. If you get nothing else, get the data. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's perfectly, it drives right into this. The one thing that's missing, in a lot of the relationships, and when I see a business that seems to be, kind of failing, or they're just not growing, they're stagnant, is it's transparency. I mean, it's funny that we've talked so much about that in the beginning of it. And it has to go on all sides, so, everyone's got to, focus on a few metrics and then be transparent about those metrics. So, when I talk about the examples, and I'll just go into some of the examples right away. We were working with eHarmony, so just actually skip forward.
Right to
go to that one, and then I'll kind of skip back because I don't want to talk too much about it. I'll just keep on talking. So let me just jump into a real example because that's what's important to you. You want to know how to really apply this, right? So no more, not pie in the sky talking. So. eHarmony came to us. They said, you know what, we want to get into the email channel. We're a little bit unsure how to price this. We're really unsure how to, optimize this channel. And so they said, we said, okay, well, we're going to manage this exclusively in the email channel. And we asked them, we said, what's really important to your business? So they shared all the metrics. They were very transparent in all of their metrics. So we knew the cost per sale, we knew the conversion rates, we knew the back-end conversion rates, we knew how they were monetizing. We also knew what % US all the leads needed to be. So what, of all leads that come in, X % were, I'll just make up a number, but say that 85% of all the leads needed to be from US IPs. And then say that a certain number of the traffic needs to be women 25 to 54. And that will give them a good sign of where good profitable sources are and where bad ones are. So we launch a campaign, and we're getting this reporting on a weekly basis for every single source, and in some cases, every list within a specific source. This is very email-centric that we're talking about. So we found we had some great publishers that weren't doing well at all on this offer. And it's a great brand, it's a great offer. So we started looking at the balanced scorecard, and we realized that one of these publishers was running at, I'll just make up the number, at 50% US IPs for all the leads they were generating. So we went back to the publisher and said, guys, run your list through an IP locator and let's scrub out all the foreign IPs. They did it. They went up to 95% the payout. And again, relatively, I'm not going to give you the right number. It went from like an $8 payout to a $12 payout. Now, that publisher's effective CPMs jumped. They are more profitable. eHarmony was more profitable. We were actually viewed as a strong strategic partner, which continued to solidify our exclusivity in managing the email channel for them. So we all win. So that's an example of how transparency can absolutely drive your business. Anybody have any questions on that?
You guys have any questions on that? It's a really amazing. It's a perfect example.
Yeah. And let's just go to the second one. All right. So I also think that another area to take a hard look at are things like compliance. So a lot of people look at compliance as a cost. So it's a terrible cost. I like in my business to try everything and to turn everything into a revenue opportunity. So I can justify development of it, putting on a roadmap, putting people against it, or technology behind it. And so I look at in the email space, I look at things like compliance as something that's very important to our business. If we didn't, then we wouldn't be actually working with more Fortune 1000s than any other company in the world in the email channel. So it became very important to me to create like a safety zone for brands. So let's a very real world example. 5 years ago, suppression lists were being stolen. So you'd put something on your network, you would share the text file of your suppression list with all your publishers, and let's say that those publishers might have used 3 ESPs to actually deliver the mail. Those suppression lists were being stolen. They were being sold to companies in China or Russia or wherever it was. They would sit on the list for 6 months, and then all of a sudden they would start blasting out to it. There is no possible way that I could actually bring in a Citibank or a Fortune 1000 company into the email channel until that was fixed, right? So we actually, about 2 years ago, decided to invest very heavily in developing an MD5 process where you would hash the file. You would never share a plain text file again with a publisher. They would never be able to share it with a mailer. It took about 18 months to get there. Now we can absolutely run 100% MD5 solution, not sharing the list, seeding the list just in case somebody can break that code. So if somebody does sell it, we see it immediately. The second that list gets mailed, we would get a full report in a dashboard. It would alert our QC team, and we'd immediately take action. In order to do this effort, we had to actually upgrade 28 ESPs, over 200 or close to 300 publishers, and convince our advertisers to pay us more to offset the cost of developing these technologies. We didn't keep any of the profit from that. We passed it on to the ESPs and the publishers because they had to actually do the heavy lifting. So that's one of those instances where now we can support Fortune 1000s. Those Fortune 1000 brands make more money than any other offer in every category that they come in. They dominate because they have a brand. It adds legitimacy. Yeah. So, and it also helps you with deliverability. So again, increases profitability across the board for all your partners.
And the point, obviously, is that you're able to target, like you said, the most profitable customers that are out there. Yeah. I want to go back because you brought something up, Jason, that I think is really important. So very few of you said that you were monetizing your list. So in other words, you're a merchant, you have a list of customers, and you never take that list and potentially promote other products. And I personally think that's a big mistake. And I know a lot of people get really brand sensitive and they're like, we just don't do that. But the amount of profit that you can make, there's a ton of value in that. You have to be selective about who you partner with. So I just wanted to spend a little bit more time on that topic. I think one of the big eye-openers for me was I had a conversation. I tend to ask people a lot of times to just share with me what are they doing that's making them successful. And I don't reveal a lot of the secret sauce or the details, but I'm more just curious from the standpoint of is like, what's that little nugget that you found? And I try to provide that same advice back out. And I found out that there was a friend of mine, he was an affiliate marketer, and he literally just, his revenue went through the roof, but also his profits. As a result of, he had always just sent all of his sale or his customers directly to his merchants, and he never captured their information. I don't think this is working anymore, so I'm just going to try to talk loudly.
It works sometimes.
Yeah, it's like on and off. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I forgot about this. So anyway, he decided that he was going to start building up his list as best as he could before he sent the traffic over, which is a difficult prospect. And then he turned around and he continued to market to them. And I think it was tripled his revenue overall as a result of being able to remarket to those customers, being able to offer additional products that were better suited for them, and really engaging in a conversation. And so the question is how do I do that? One of the biggest opportunities I've heard about is really education-based marketing. So what you want to do is you say, okay, let's pretend that you're an OPM, you got Durk or Chuck or one of you guys out there that provide those services, and you say, we just came across some research that shows that 96% of merchants who launch their businesses fail at a successful launch, and 4% succeed. And what we figured out is there are 5 things that those that fail always do. And then there's 3 things that the 4% who succeed always do, and they don't do the other 5. And we're going to have a meeting this week, and we're going to share that with you. Is that something that would be of interest to your prospects, whatever? Okay, people sign up. Now you have their information. You can provide them valuable content. It's free. You're not charging them anything. In the process, you've increased your credibility, right? Now, all of a sudden, you have this ability to start getting information into your prospective clients. They maybe aren't going to do business with you right away, but you're able to market to them, and they maybe will refer someone else to you. Another thing that you want to be able to do is once you build that list, how do I decrease the unsubscribes to that list? Okay? It happens all the time. One of the best ones I've ever seen, I was on a health newsletter type thing with Joe Mercola, Mercola.com. And he was great. I mean, every morning it was coming in, and I realized I was just not reading it. So I decided I was going to unsubscribe. I get to the unsubscribe, and it says, we found that most of our customers that unsubscribe, the reason is we're mailing to you too frequently. Would you like to be on a different frequency list? And then I'm like, yes, because I did want to improve my health. Boom. Okay, so they didn't lose me as a subscriber. Now I get it, not even every week, probably every other week. And when it pops in, it's still top of mind. They're great for health information, and I still buy through their products. So these are little techniques, and I highly recommend that you always start thinking about, how do I build my internal list? How do I, people talk a lot about how do I get enough followers on Twitter, and how do I, okay, whatever the technique, whatever method that they want to communicate with you, just be providing as much information as possible and utilize that to market to them. Yeah, Chuck.
Along those lines, running straight affiliate programs, we've had a couple merchants that allowed us to post their retention coupon codes, and we ran it through. In one case, we get about an hour's notice before they drop it to their customer database, and we just push it out to our affiliate channel. And we've seen that immediately hit, especially on the community-based sites that post discount codes. And there are some that have viewerships of in the 3 to 10 million range. And we've seen that significantly lift the channel. So if you've got information that you're running on other channels, share it with, crossover, test it, use that as an opportunity. Generally, the retention are restricted. Oh, we don't want that going to anybody other than somebody who's bought from us before. Why does it matter? You're just trying to push that volume. So be a little open-minded, and other things. Paid search, I think, is probably one of the most restricted channels in affiliate programs, but it's also one of the most lucrative. So it deals with the transparency comments that when you partner with a couple people, if you think of it as on AdWords, for your brand, there are 10 spots there. You can only own one of those spots. The other 9 are generally going to be your competitors. Why not partner with your affiliates, give them some latitude to be able to come in there and add 2, 3, or 4. Generally, in conversion on paid search, positions 3 through 5 are the secret sauce. So if you're controlling number 1, forcing everybody below you, or because you're the trademark, you're number 1, the rest of your competitors, you're probably not even getting the best optimal conversion. So where we've been able to partner with the affiliates, be transparent, some of them will set up 90-day tests with you, and they'll share data. They'll be very open with you. So it's a win-win situation.
Yep. And another example, I remember sitting in one of these presentations and Declan Dunn said, he's like, here's a great technique. Call the person who just did an order and confirm it. And now, boom, here's an opportunity for a second sale. And not an add-on or anything else, but you're starting to gear them up. It's like you care, you're thanking them, you're confirming, you're making sure everything's okay. If you can do that, and then all of a sudden, now the potential, if you can design your interaction to encourage them to buy that second item, you might have doubled the lifetime value of that particular client. I mean, that's huge. So do something a little out of the ordinary, but again, that didn't increase the cost of sale, because all it was something you already did. Put an insert into the order, the shipment, and put another coupon code. And you know what? Give the affiliate the credit that originally sent that to you, if you're not. Or if you're an affiliate, say, hey, this is what I would like you guys to do. I'll actually take a lower payout on my first order so that you guys will put this insert on all of those shipments so that I can get that second one. I mean, I've heard people do it, and it actually works. Durk, do you have other ideas in just in terms of just increasing the points of sale? You come across anything creative?
No.
No.
Dirk.
I saw you like moving around there. I thought you might have good advice.
Well, yeah, well, I do have some. We're doing two techniques that have been really, I mean, it's amazing to me when I talk to a merchant, they don't know their key metrics: average order size, conversion rate. And the third thing, and sometimes it's hard for even me to categorize, is lifetime value. And people who know their lifetime value tend to have better producing programs. So one of the things we struggle with all the time is we get a lot of new merchants, relatively new to the web. And so what we try to do is we get in there, they may not even have run a pay-per-click campaign. So we really don't know their metrics. We know what their average order size, we have an idea what that's gonna be like. But so we do everything we can. And I guess one of my favorite lines that I tell new clients is your website really stinks. I can't sell your product. And it's amazing how many deals I've closed by doing that, because they say, we agree, but we don't know how to fix it. And so we get into all this thing. And so it's, even though we're an affiliate program manager, really consulting, as all of us do. You can't just, we're doing just this, we're doing this. We got, not that I do anything Jason does, but this is really cool stuff that I may have an opportunity for a client for him in the future that really, while it may not directly impact me, improves their whole program performance. And so we are talking about anything we can do to improve conversion. So Chuck just reminded me I do have something to say. But we've been using we use ShareSale. But we've been using Save-A-Sell technology very effectively. There are a number of companies that do it. We have found very, very little customer resistance to an after, when they're getting ready to leave the site after not buying, they're responding not negatively to an offer for a coupon at that point. So we have found, we've been running it now for 2 years for 15 different programs, thousands of transactions, thousands of abandons. We've literally not ever had a complaint. So that's working well. The other thing we've been doing to improve performance of our clients and make more money, not only for the client, but for the affiliates and everyone involved, is retargeting. We've been doing a lot of, when someone leaves the site, they go to CNN or USA Today, and my client's banners magically show up in the face of the consumer, and they click back or they view through, and they are buying, and it's been incredibly effective. And there are a number of those that do it on a performance basis. Most of the people you'll see out there want a CPM. I'm CPM adverse because of the whole nature of my background, but I actually have clients that have converted to CPM because trying to track all the performance is a nutty thing. But we see increases, we see better improvement in conversion rates, and we always negotiate down the rates in everything we do to double pay. So the affiliates always are protected on the traffic they drive, and yet we get the enhanced conversion. So those are a couple of things we do.
Yep.
Just from personal experience, I mean, retargeting is definitely something that needs to be done, but it's a double-edged sword when you're dealing with a known performance-based retargeting company, and you have a wide base of, you could have 50 or 30,000 affiliates that are not educated in inverted commas, that don't realize they're going to get paid in any case, or that you've got a different kind of relationship running. If you don't communicate effectively, you can very easily alienate the wide, low-producing affiliate base because they think you're stealing sales.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. And it's back to this issue of communication. And also, for those of you who are communicating with affiliates, there was advice that was given during the keynote today, which was how does your audience want to consume their information? I cannot tell you, and it drives me nuts, is how many people talk about, okay, we're going to set up our monthly affiliate newsletter. And I'm like, they're not opening it. They're not going to read it. They're not, that's not where they want to get their information. There's some people like phones, some like IM, some like, one of the social networks. Some people do like email, but you need to talk to them and work it through. And not all of them want to be communicated with. And you just have to sort of accept that. It's like some of them aren't going to want to have that conversation with you necessarily. Move on and work with the people who do want that help. but it's really critical that you get them the key information. So first, figure out what channel they want to talk to you in, and then secondly, make sure you're getting them this information and educate them. Yeah, Jason.
You know what's really funny is that it's great that you were just talking about how you're going to be communicating with your affiliates, and whether you're using social or phone or email or whatever it is. About 2 years ago, we stopped talking about ourselves as an email marketing company and
Right.
started talking about it as an inbox marketing company, as an inbox agency of record for a company. So what does that mean? Well, consumers, you should actually figure out how best the consumer wants you to talk to them. You could send alerts to them in a Twitter account. You could actually push coupons to their Facebook. You can communicate them in the email channel. So just like you're talking about how do you effectively manage your relationship with your affiliates, it's the same thing with the consumer. So, if you don't already have a strategy, maybe start with email, but then apply those learnings to other inboxes.
Yep, that's great. That's great advice.
I was going to say, my 13-year-old, I asked her which email I should send her a message to, and she said, "Oh, you mean Facebook me?"
What other questions do you have for any of us about any of these topics or something else? Yeah.
If you sign up for multiple networks, like you got Share Sale, CJ, and everybody else, how do you make sure you're not paying out 3 different commissions on the same sale?
That's a great question. Did you guys in the back of the room hear that? So if as a merchant you work with more than one network, say 3 different networks, how do you ensure that you're not paying out multiple commissions to one specific affiliate or multiple affiliates because all of that consumer went to more than one site and got cookied? So do you want to answer that?
Yeah, we call it conditional representation. You only want to place a dynamic pixel based on the network that the referrer is coming from. So if you've got a redirect from CJ, CJ uses about 20 different URLs to try to get around some of the spam blockers. We put a source equals in, generally CJ AF, CJ affiliate, and then we look at that on the server and we only drop that CJ cookie on the browser. Mm-hmm. We also go back and look at the various cookies that are there and find the most recent cookie, and in our business, last cookie wins, last cookie gets a sale. So we then only dynamically place that pixel. One of the biggest problems is running dual networks and having 2 pixels on the thank you page. So at the end of the month, the affiliate manager spends about a day deduping all those duplicate records and trying to filter it out. Just don't do it in the first place. And so actually, I'm working with a new launch in CJ. They've got some excellent tech specs on that. So talk to the network, but there are techniques to get around that. I actually have one program that runs on 4 platforms, and we have no cross-pollination at all.
It's getting to be less of a problem because they've all acknowledged that people like Chuck and I run on multiple networks, and they have to fix it. We take over a lot of CJ programs that have the original access implementation. That means the cookie fires every time. So we basically go in and we have a manual process every month. We alert the client, we deduplicate the list, and we just take care of it for them. So we're obviously as a merchant rep not going to allow, we would love them to pay multiple commissions, but frankly we get in trouble over the long term. So we deduplicate and take care of that. And it's a little tricky to figure out who's the last cookie no matter what. He's probably has a little better, but when you're dealing with an internal tracking and other, it's a little easier to do. But for us, we just basically make a decision on where they came from and credit and debit accordingly.
I'm a merchant, so my question is, do you recommend having all the networks running on? I work with all the networks. That's the first question. The second question is, how do you, specifically with remarketing, how do you not credit the affiliate, or how do you balance that?
Okay, so the question is, one, why we're, good practice or not on working with multiple networks. And then the second question was,
if we're going to remarket,
yeah.
so somebody comes to your site and they say, I want a card, so, you fire Share Sale, and then your network, your ad network then remarkets, and the sale gets booked. Now I'm paying commission for 2 different.
Yeah, how we've done it is basically we'll go in and these are generally seasoned clients because most of the retargeting or remarketing is only clients that have a minimum 20,000 uniques a month. So we have some history on them. So we'll go in and say, the affiliate channel is contributing 12% or 15% to their overall online sales, we'll tell the retargeting guys we want a 25 or 30% discount for your CPA rate, so that we basically cover paying to commissions. We'll pay their retargeting fee and pay the affiliate. The cookie from the affiliate does not go away. It's still captured and they still get credited for the sale, but the retargeting guy for that percentage, and we just do it by making a simple thing. You're going to lower your price to cover our affiliate channel. And it's worked for our Save a Sale, it's worked for all of our retargeting issues. It shows you how much money they all make on these things, but it's just, again, doing it. Your first question was about multiple networks. I have a perfect example. We just launched a client in a new network, and the third guy to sign up was one of our super affiliates who was already signed up in another network. Mm-hmm. And he'd never ran it over there. So I'm going to be that's a test case. I'm going to see if he's actually going to run it in this new network. So what we find is, you think about what are the networks doing? They're basically marketing merchants. And so if it takes this network to get this affiliate to sign up for my merchant, that's all I care about. I don't care. The affiliates drive the market. I want to go where the affiliates want to go. Share a sale. I mean, you're talking combination thing. Pat Grady, I don't know if you know him, but he's a super affiliate. And he and I have known each other about 3 years. He only works share a sale, only. So I send him our emails of all of our program launches, and every time I see him at the convention, he thanks me for sending him all the emails. He always likes to see what we're up to. He's never taken a campaign, even the ones we have in share a sale. But you never know when we hit him the one thing. So we actually have a new deal that we think he's going to take after 3 years of doing it. So again, whatever market they want, however they want to be communicated with, we don't care. We're just going to be out there in front of them. And I think that, I can give you who I think has the best marketplace, who has the best technology. There's all kinds of ways to look at it. But we just we're friends with all the networks. I don't think they hate us, even though they understand we go from CJ to LinkShare to Google, but
they hate you,
I think
Dirk.
it works well. All I'm doing is incremental sales. That's all I'm trying to do for my client, get more sales.